Okay, I'm getting back into my regular reading again. What I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am reading in a chronological order of events, not according to publication or volume, so I will be skipping around a little bit now, especially getting into the Judges, now that I'm in the Judges, and as I get into the reign of the kings. I'm going to be skipping around a whole lot. Right now, I am reading in Judges. This is chapter 3 in the book of Judges. Hope you've been enjoying the Psalms as I've been releasing those as well. Judges chapter 3. Oh, I think this is a long one. We'll see. Israel intermarries with Canaanites, worships false gods, and is cursed. Othniel judges Israel. Israel serves Moab and is delivered by Ehud, who slays Eglon. Oh, this is a great story. I love this one. Okay. Now these are the nations which the Lord left to prove Israel by them, even as many of Israel as had not known all the wars of Canaan. Only that the generations of the children of Israel might know, to teach them war, at the least such as before knew nothing thereof. Namely 5 lords of the Philistines, and all the Canaanites, and the Sidonians, and the Hivites that dwelt in Mount Lebanon, from Mount Baal Hermon unto the entering in of Hamath. And they were to prove Israel by them, to know whether they would hearken unto the commandments of the Lord, which he commanded their fathers by the hand of Moses. So, in other words, Israel didn't do what God wanted to do, been driving everybody out up to this point. And now Joshua's dead, the elders are dead, and God's saying, okay, we'll just leave these nations here so that Israel, see, when the Israelites who first came in, they understood war, they understood the need for God. But the new generations, they've all lived in peace. And so as the prosperity makes you think you don't need God. And so we'll leave these nations here so that they always know that they need God. It's an interesting dynamic. Verse 5, though. Let's move on. And the children of Israel dwelt among the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and Hivites, and Jebusites. And they took their daughters to be their wives, and gave their daughters to their sons, and served their gods. And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord, and forgat the Lord their God, and served Baalim and the groves. So the groves here in the footnotes, it has here the Hebrew, this is Asheroth, a fertility goddess, the consort of Baal, I do believe. Baalim, that's another name for Baal. So Israel is starting to mingle with the heathen nations that are worshiping idols. And because they are mingling with them, they begin to worship idols themselves. Now we'll see what happens. Verse 8. Therefore the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel, and he sold them into the hand of Cushan-Rishathaim, king of Mesopotamia. And the children of Israel served Cushan-Rishathaim 8 years. And when the children of Israel cried unto the Lord raised up a deliverer to the children of Israel, who delivered them, even Othniel, the son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother. And the Spirit of the Lord came upon him, and he judged Israel, and went out to war. And the Lord delivered Cushan-Rishathaim, king of Mesopotamia, into his hand. And his hand prevailed against Cushan-Rishathaim. And the land had rest 40 years. And Othniel, the son of Kenaz, died. Cushan-Rishathaim. Now there is a name for you. Now Mesopotamia, of course, is in the northeast of where Israel is. It would be bordering on the tribe of Manasseh. Othniel, we've read about him. He's the one that drove all the giants out of the land of Hebron. And He's the son of Kenaz, and Kenaz being Caleb's brother, Caleb being the famous one of the 10 spies who then who was given the land of Hebron. So Othniel is of the tribe of Judah. Judah's in the southeast, Judah's in the southwest, Manasseh up in the northeast. That's where Mesopotamia would have come in. In other words, Mesopotamia, Cushan-Rishathaim, didn't just conquer a little bit. He came down, he got a good portion of it. And Othniel raised an army through the Spirit of the Lord, drove him out, and he judged for 40 years. Now, again, if you'll recall in my video about the timeline of the judges, it is likely that Othniel was already a judge when Cushan-Rishathaim invaded. And they said 8 years. So that was that 8 years was probably during Othniel's judgeship. But let us continue reading verse 12. And the children of Israel did evil again in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord strengthened Eglon, the king of Moab, against Israel, because they had done evil in the sight of the Lord. And he gathered unto him the children of Ammon and Amalek, and went and smote Israel, and possessed the city of palm trees. So the children of Israel served Eglon, the king of Moab, 18 years. But when the children of Israel cried unto the Lord raised them up a deliverer, Ehud, the son of Gera, a Benjamite, a man left-handed, and by him the children of Israel sent a present unto Eglon, the king of Moab. But Ehud made him a dagger which had 2 edges of a cubit length, and he did gird it under his raiment upon his right thigh. And he brought the present unto Eglon, king of Moab, and Eglon was a very fat man. I love this story. This is just a great story. And when he had made an end to offer the present, he sent away the people that bare the present. But he himself turned again from the quarries that were by Gilgal, and said, I have a secret errand unto thee, O king. Who said, Keep silence. And all that stood by him went out from him. Okay, now let's pause here for a minute. So, Moab, if you will recall, is just east of the tribe of Reuben. They join up with Ammon and Amalek. Amalek is probably a tribe of the Edomites. So you have Moab. Ammon's just north of Moab. Edom's just south of Moab. The 3 get together, and they conquer the eastern portion of Israel. They subject them to oppression. Ehud is a Benjamite, so he's on the western side of Jordan. This would indicate that Moab that Moab did cross Jordan and did oppress at least that portion there. It's unlikely that Moab controlled all the way up into Naphtali and Asher in the north, or as far as down south of Simeon, but he was in the middle. Ehud, he's left-handed. He hides a dagger along his right thigh, and he goes in. Once he delivers the present, he's delivering the tribute, basically. He's bringing in the tribute, and he gives it to the king, and they do all their homage, they do all their pomp and circumstance stuff, and then Ehud makes all of the rest of the Israelites leave, and then says to the king, look, I have a secret errand. And the king, Eglon, he then sends all of his servants out so that Ehud can deliver his message privately in secret. Verse 20. And Ehud came unto him, and he was sitting in a summer parlor, which he had for himself alone. And Ehud said, I have a message from God unto thee. And he arose out of his seat. And Ehud put forth his left hand, and took the dagger from his right thigh, and thrust it into his belly. And the haft also went in after the blade, and the fat closed upon the blade, so that he could not draw the dagger out of his belly. And the dirt came out. Then let's just appreciate the Bible has some very violent and sometimes kind of gory stories. So Ehud tells him, look, I've got a message from God to you. And the guy stands up. He's this big, fat, blubbery guy. And he stands up to hear the word of God, and Ehud takes the secret dagger, and he stabs him right in the gut with it. And the guy is so fat that the fat literally sucks the dagger in so that Ehud can't pull it back out. And he's got so many rolls of fat that he's never cleaned, so that when the blood starts flowing out, it washes the dirt out from between the folds of fat. This guy was huge. Might have been on my 600-pound life if he lived in the modern day. He was ridiculously big, ridiculously fat. Now, I'm not sure why we needed these details in the scriptures, but they're there for anybody who enjoys those kind of stories. Anyways, verse 23. Then Ehud went forth through the porch and shut the doors of the parlor upon him and locked them. When he was gone out, his servants came, and when they saw that, behold, the doors of the parlor were locked, they said, surely he covereth his feet in his summer chamber. And they tarried till they were ashamed, and behold, he opened not the doors of the parlor. Therefore they took a key and opened them, and behold, their Lord was fallen down dead on the earth. So here we have Ehud kills the guy. Whether it was an instantaneous kill or not is not really said. Considering how much fat the guy had, is kind of, I'm not sure he could have reached any vital organs. So he stabs the guy, and then he sneaks out the back way, comes around, locks the parlor doors. And then leaves. And when the servants come, the doors are locked, so he doesn't want to be disturbed. Then they wait long enough that now they're a little concerned. He's not coming out, and they're not able to do their duty. They're not able to perform their services as his servants. And so they unlock the door, and they find him dead. Now, was he killed instantly, or did he bleed to death from the wound? Doesn't clarify that. But let us finish this, verse 26. And Ehud escaped while they tarried, and passed beyond the quarries, and escaped unto Serath. And it came to pass when he was come, that he blew a trumpet in the mountain of Ephraim, and the children of Israel went down with him from the mount, and he before them. And he said unto them, follow after me, for the Lord hath delivered your enemies, the Moabites, into your hand. And they went down after him, and took the fords of Jordan toward Moab, and suffered not a man to pass over. And they slew of Moab at that time about 10,000 men, all lusty and all men of valor, and there escaped not a man. So Moab was subdued that day under the hand of Israel, and the land had rest 80 years. That's 80 years. And after him was Shamgar, the son of Anath, which slew of the Philistines 600 men with an ox goad, and he also delivered Israel. Now, there's just want to say, finishing the story of Ehud. So, yes, they had the fords of Jordan. Moab had control of the river Jordan and part of the side on the west. Now, Mount Ephraim is on the west. This is where Ehud goes, and he gathers the army of Israel. Apparently, they were waiting, because he just went and he blows the trumpet. This is the signal, and all the army comes following him. These guys were already waiting. They were prepared. This was a planned-out assassination, and Ehud, there was a signal. He came back, he blew the horn. That's the signal. The king's dead. I have successfully completed the mission. Now we're going to war. They all go down. They drive Moab out of Israel. On a final note, we have this mention of Shamgar, the son of Anath, slew the Philistines and delivered Israel. We are given no further information about this guy. Shamgar, he's just there. During this 80 years of Ehud, now, we don't know if Ehud actually judged Israel for 80 years. He judged Israel, and starting with his judgeship, there was 80 years where it says they had rest. So we don't know if he judged all 80 years, but there was the time period. During this time period, you have Shamgar drive the Philistines out and deliver Israel again. But the Philistines are over by Judah. They're in the west. They're on the shore of the Mediterranean. Ehud's up here in the central eastern part of Israel, and Shamgar is down in the southwestern part. Two different fights, two different areas. We see here evidence that the Israelites were not entirely united as a single nation, and it was just certain tribes were being oppressed by these foreigners. But this is getting long enough, so I'm going to leave that here, and I will see you in the next one.